Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness aye. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather wrong, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and on the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal him. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop.
Hello, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If you are looking to have your statutory declaration, affidavit of income, identity, damage or lost passport, lost license, tenancy agreement, agreement of settlement, power of attorney, last will and testament, and certification of documents, then you need to visit the Alistair Collins firm, located at the Killian Mall, 162 Lamaha Street in Georgetown, between Camp and Waterloo Street. Alistair Collins is a commissioner of oaths and a justice of the peace. Make certain you visit him or call for more information at 649-6410 or 685-6448 or 503-1451. And there's adequate parking available. Go down to the Alistair Collins firm and have all of your legal issues settled and brought to the fore. Alistair Collins firm. Contact them at Alistair Collins firm.
Hi.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Hi.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. All right, we're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly.
It means that we would not have gotten the statements of poll for every polling station. To be honest, the People's Republic Party have only a handful of statements of poll. The people who will have statements of poll for all the polling stations would be the large parties, which would be the coalition and the PPPC, because they would have been able to send scrutineers to all the polling stations. So let me say that verification process that we are hoping GCOM will have to return to complete will be largely between the coalition, that is the SOPs that the coalition has, and the SOPs
Good evening. My name is Mark Banchap, and welcome to Straight Up. Do share the link and let folks know that we deal with real issue here. We address and we just tell it like it is. I noticed that some folks already right away saying there's no sound. There's no sound because I wasn't on. And if you are not getting any sound, it means that something is wrong with your computer, not at our end. I'm sure a lot of you guys are hearing me, but let us not waste much time on that. Good evening. And again, thank you so much for sharing the link. And I wasn't on for a couple of days, but I'm on now, and let's move forward. Some folks are still saying no sound. Some folks are saying sounds good. And I tell you guys what, I'm not going to spend a lot of time sound there, no sound, and sound and no sound. Lemon has fixed it, and I'm sure that if you're not hearing us, You can read lips. You can read lips. You can read my lips. Don't be afraid. You can read my lips. You can even read Tanti Moral's lip. Now, Tanti Moral's saying, and when I say Tanti Moral, I mean this Tanti Moral that was actually walking through somewhere walking through when the woman had to put him in his place. And we got to give the women them a lot of credit. And these women who are standing up to these goons, these PPP goons, when they're walking into communities that they have neglected for 23 plus years, they've neglected all of these communities. Suddenly they're walking through the communities. Suddenly they're pretending as though they care about the people in those communities. I wish, like, for example, that lady who stood up and who told Tanti Moral as it is, that lady right there, we just got to say salute to her. Don't you wish we had this kind of bravery in Parliament? This kind of bravery, standing up to these oppressors, standing up to these installed individuals who have rigged their way into office. And of course, they were installed, but we'll get to that shortly. But look at this lady, whoever she is. I just wish I know who she is. These are the people who are the heroes of today. These are the people who are brave enough to stand up and tell these oppressors in front of their faces to go to hell or to practice what they preach. They're not like some of the elected ones. Sorry. Well, then, no apologies. They're not like some of the elected ones who should be standing up to you, for you guys, who should be ignoring these vagabonds, these political vagabonds, because that's who they are. Vagabonds. They're hustlers. They don't care about people who look like this lady. They don't care about people in general. All they're concerned about is their goons in high offices and those goons who are stepping out who aren't Guineas, but they're coming to basically drain the bulk of the oil out of the country, the bulk of the resources out of the country, and nothing is left for this lady. So this lady knows what she's up to. I just wish that people had a choice to vote their parliamentarians. Then a lot of parliamentarians, especially, forget about those goons in the installed regime. We're talking about those lazy ones in the opposition. Yes, there's absolutely no apologies. The lazy ones, the spiteful ones, the vindictive ones in the opposition. You only see most of them, mind you. There's some of them who are out there going out, not just on social media. They're out there working in the communities. A few of them. And they believe that going into the communities and doing their work is important. And those few members of parliament in the opposition who do that, who find the time to do that, I say salute to those individuals, because people voted, including yours truly, voted for those individuals to go into the communities, take off their shoes, take off whatever they have to take off, makeup, whatever else, loose up, dash way, and walk into the communities and stand with the people. This is what this lady is saying. She wants to see her elected officials. She wants to see her members of parliament with her. She just doesn't want to see them parading whenever there's this fake parliament that is taking place, where some of them just dress up and pretending as though they give fancy speeches and so forth. People are tired of that. They don't want to hear those sort of things. Good evening again and welcome. Again, let's go back to, if Lemon can just replay this lady putting to anti-moral, and that I don't even want to say slave, because I'll be insulting those of our ancestors who were forced into slavery. This guy, I don't know how to describe him, but you guys who are listening, who are watching, can find all sorts of adjectives to describe that Looney Tune in the white shirt jack. Both of them. Well, let's go. Let's listen to what this hero of a woman has to say.
to spread the narrative of hate. We're going to destroy it in the communities. We're going to come and talk to the people directly. That is how we're going to destroy it. Because there's only one way we are building a Guyana. We are building a Guyana that is united, a Guyana that is filled with love, and a Guyana in which prosperity comes to everyone. That is the Guyana we build.
Well, if that is the Guyana he is talking about, if that is the Guyana Tantimor is talking about, well, I don't know. I don't know what Guyana he's talking about, and it's not the Guyana that we know. It's not the Guyana that we are accustomed to at all. That's not. Sorry about that. That's not.
That is what we are pushing that from the top of this government. Listen carefully. This is not game. This is not a game show. Those who pretend to be leaders of
but then you have to practice what you preach.
listen, that's why we're here. That is why we're here. We never saw 5 years ago. You're there? No. Oh, did they get a chance? But I get a chance. Directly.
Yeah. Good evening. Sorry about that again. Just had a slight technical hiccup, and we're done with that. He's talking about the hate. He's talking about those who are spreading hate. They're the ones who are spreading hate in that country. We see it. The evidence is there. It's clear. And, they just walk into communities, feel as though they can talk things, and people are just going to hug them and believe them. Do not believe that one Guyana stuff. There's no one Guyana, none whatsoever. There's one people, one nation, one destiny. That is what it's about. And you can see that guy, Irfan Ali, who pompous himself, walks around as though he's the president of Guyana, when in fact he's not. We know they have been installed. Mind you, everything for this guy is abuse out. Everything for this guy is a cuss out. And we got to start questioning, his antics, his move around the hands. Now, even if he is, that's what we suspect that maybe could be the case. It's okay. But this guy, his hand antics and his abuse out mentality says a lot, if you know what I mean. It says a lot. And the evidence is quite clear as to how he operates. There's one way. He feels that he's a big slob. He's a big bully. That is what he feels. He's not Democrat. He doesn't believe in democracy. He doesn't have decency. So look at how he walks in. When he walks into mainly African communities, Guyanese communities, when he basically communicates with the persons of African descent, there's a difference. He has no respect. Look at what he does. Just take a look at how he behaves, even to African police, African Guyanese policemen and women. Take a look at him, not her. I wouldn't even say that publicly, but I'm sorry. Him. Did I say? Take a look at her. I don't know why, but take a listen to what he has to say. Look at his antics. The guy is just a bluff. He is a scarecrow, and he believes that he is so powerful. Just understand, a Nimakaram coming from nowhere or whatsoever believes that he is so powerful that he can talk to people. Get away from here. This guy is a leader? You've got to be kidding me. That guy is no leader. Look at how he behaved that's how he behaved in front of Pegasus, right? A hood. He is what you call a real thug. A fake thug, but he's a hoodlum. That is what he is. And look how he behaved when he went into, he sat down in a minibus. He talked to them nicely in man repos. And look what happens. Look at his behavior when he went to box them. Let's first take a look at how he behaved when he was in Manripo, talking to Auntie before he gave them millions of dollars. Take a look.
Mr. Watts, he's armed himself. Shots, watch it, tear gas. Live rounds, also I can see that.
Just for Quindon!
The man is a boxer, man. Why can't put in a boxer, man, to do that? But since Mike wasn't there, no, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
Right? No, you come on the East Coast.
You listen to me.
You gotta listen to me too, man.
I am listening to you.
Right? Now, I see you on the East Coast. The day when they get a protest of them, the next day, that's when you see one bigger heads come up to talk to my family. Right? And that's bad. If you didn't do a protest, you want to see nobody for justice. I'm not holding back nothing. I'm not holding back nothing. I just need justice of my family. I get visitors all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you all have visitors. This is Joker. Who is that Joker? That piece of plum. They know who they never know.
Okay, so you notice, you see how you see how the thing behaves whenever he's in predominantly African Guyanese communities, right? You see the arrogance, the ignorance, and all manner of things. Get out, I don't have time, I don't this, I don't that. But he sat in that minibus or whatever he sat on in Monrepo, and he said, you will get justice. Does he do that? When he's in other communities, he doesn't. This is a guy who walks around pretending that there's a one Guyana, pretending that he believes in unity, pretending that he believes in this Guyanese-ness of things, when in fact he doesn't. He thinks he's a bully. And people got to start chasing him out, just like that woman did, that brave woman. Unlike some of the members of parliament who want to shake his hand, hug him, jarry him, probably throw mala around his neck and all these sort of things. Those same opposition politicians, a lot of them and those opposition MPs are weakling. They're what you call kitchen cats. They only could perform in a kitchen. They call kitchen cats. That is what they are. And people, I don't know. Anyways, look. Hey, what else is happening, right? What else is happening? What more can we talk about as quickly as possible? Because I'm only on for 1 hour. 1 hour I'm on to. As stated, when was it? A couple days ago. Look at this bridge. Let's talk about this bridge. You know, there's a rap song that goes something, the bridge. Well, we're talking about this bridge. Those of you guys who are not into rap music, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. I think it was Bismarcky or something, the bridge, the bridge. The opposition should make a commercial and highlighting this bridge so that people can see, people can understand what is happening in this so-called one Guyana. There's not one Guyana, mind you. There's one corrupt Guyana headed by that installed president. Now let's take a keen look at this bridge. This is the Blacker Bridge. A lot of you probably, you know, especially those of you who don't like mosquitoes to bite you and all these sort of things, all right? As soon as you're born in Guyana, you're raised in Guyana, but as soon as you go America or you go Canada or you go wherever you go and you go back to Guyana and a little mosquito bite you, y'all walk in mosquito oil and rub down and this and that. Look, y'all live the Guyanese lifestyle. Nothing is wrong with mosquito biting you. Take a little mosquito bite. If you can't take a mosquito bite, then you're not from Guyana. Story done. So all of you are going back home and you're walking with this and that and all. Anyways, let me not stray from the subject matter, which is the bridge. The bridge. Look at this bridge. This is the Blacker Bridge. This is the bridge that would take you into Sophia. I've used that bridge a couple of times. The bridge has been this way, not when the coalition got into office. And yes, the coalition did a heck of a lot of things, far more than what that corrupt, racist PPP regime ever did in the 23 years that they have ruled and ruined Guyana. So let them not talk about the 5 or 3 or 4 years that the coalition was actually struggling because of internal hits by some of those greedy politicians in the coalition. Some of them know who they are. Now, let's get back to this here, right? This bridge has been this way for almost all the time the PPP was in office for the 20-something years. They were never concerned about this bridge. They never gave a damn about the people of Sophia. In fact, the road or the roads leading into Sophia and Sophia Cross Street, whether is A field, B field, C field, or whatever, the roads were rough. They never give a damn about the people of Sophia, the road, or the bridge, the bridge. Now look at this bridge. It has been this way for a while. People have asked for it to be repaired. They didn't give a damn about the bridge, the bridge. They just didn't give a damn. But suddenly they're jumping out of their holes. Well, you know, they're accustomed, so they crawl out of their holes. And this is what they've announced. 50 million, and that is Guyana dollars, right? 50 million Guyana dollars. And that is, what is it? That is about, do the calculation, 2.5, about $250,000. $250,000 US dollars. Let's do the math. Some of you mathematicians out there, let's do the math. $250,000 US dollars for this bridge. But before we continue on this bridge, let me remind you guys that the people of Sophia didn't get water under the 23 years that the PPP governed, ruined Guyana. They hardly. But it was the coalition that, when they got into office, did whatever was necessary. Now, more should have been done. Yes, we know that. But the coalition did far more than what the PPP ever did in the 23 years of scampishness in ruining and ruling that country. Now, a lot of you guys who may know Sophia or may not know Sophia, guess what? The roads leading into Sophia, potholes all over. And they were basically called abortion roads. Under the PPP regime, there were hardly lights, there were hardly water or whatever. It was a swamp area that the PPP regime, including Irfan Ali, when he was Minister of Housing and Water, didn't give a damn about the people of Sophia. They didn't give a damn about Blacker Bridge. Not whatsoever. And so the roads leading into A field, B field, C field, and so forth, Sophia, they were called abortion roads. There was no need for the hospitals or doctors to conduct an abortion. Minibus drivers and taxis and so forth, they could hardly have avoided going into a pothole. In fact, they had no other choice. So those of you back in the days who dated a guy and he said he's going to carry you for a romantic drive around the city and say, you ever see Sophia? He was up to something. He was basically driving through Sophia because you know what? It was called the abortion roads. You go in a pothole, you're driving in a minibus, brother, you lose your babies. You know how many persons have lost their babies as a result of the PPP's negligence in abortion roads in Sophia? Suddenly they care about the people of Sophia. Let me say this to you guys. They do not care about the people of Sophia. They do not care about the people anywhere. It is all about corruption and corruption and corruption. That is what it is about, corruption. And so when they come and they announce to you guys and they say to you guys that, hear what? They are going to be doing the BLACA. And they have no shame about it too, in saying that they are going to do the bridge. The bridge. I think it's Bismarcky, my dear, right? So now look at this bridge. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody. Do you guys think that 250,000 US dollars, come on, I'm going to repeat it for you guys, 250,000, $250,000 US dollars to build this bridge, to repair, mind you, this bridge? $250,000 US dollars. They think people are stupid. That is their problem. They think that we all went to night school or we all went to IFLAT University. That is how these people are corrupt. That is how they steal your monies. They go into your communities pretending that they care about you, pretending that they're spending or they're building something. It is their way of thieving money. This bridge doesn't cost or wouldn't cost more than, what is it? Not more than 10,000 US dollars to repair. Look at the wood. You get some wood, some nice wood, you nail it, you ting it up, you put some nice rails, and it is done for 10,000 US dollars. And if you give a 2,000 or 3,000 extra, it can be concrete. I can do it. I'm no contractor. And so I'm not going to pretend to be a contractor and rush and register some company overnight so I can win the contract and defraud taxpayers of Guyana. That is what is happening. $50 million. Yes, those of you who are watching, those of you who are listening, again, 50 million Guyana dollars for that bridge. 50 million. And guess what? It's going to take 3 months. 3 months. I can get this done. And I repeat, I can get this done in 3 days. If it is going to be a concrete bridge, give me less than a week. I will get it done. But that is the level of corruption from these kunumunus, these crooks who were installed into office. That is what they are, crooks. They are criminals. They are bandits. They don't give a damn. They have no shame. Look at them. Couldn't they be guilty when they're walking around? And look at the face of Irfan Ali when he goes around in so mind you, look at the areas that he's focusing on now. Sophia, Albaista, they ain't got in Tiger Bay yet. They walk around because they're feeling the squeeze. They don't like when people tell them that they're racist, because the truth is, it is a racist regime. It is an apartheid Guyana that it is a reality. And they do not like when people call them that. Now, someone has asked, hey, Mark, who get the contract, Mark? Well, some trucking company, construction and trucking company, and what, somebody connected to somebody. I am almost certain that when we see the name or names of the individuals who own the trucking company, now construction, trucking company, modern. Look, I've been on the ground in Guyana way too long, and I've never heard any modern and trucking company and so forth and so on. And then when we find out who modern is, here is how it operates. It's going to be somebody who looks like Mark Phillips, right? And then they're going to jump up and say, oh, they're not practicing racism. But the person that got the contract, they're going to subcontract it to somebody else who gets the money. So in essence, not more than $5 million is going to be spent on this bridge. Then the thing is that they rush to say, oh, they're creating jobs for the youths in the community. What job? What job? To fetch little cow dung? To fetch little mud? To empty the truck when the truck comes with the wood? That is all? They're not giving anything else. Look, folks, do not be fooled by this installed regime. Do not be fooled by them at all. If you're now joining us, good evening and welcome to Straight Up. My name is Mark Bencha. I haven't touched yet on Jerry Govaya saying that the U.S. was about to, have Guyana or sanctioned Guyana after the 2020 election. No, that's no Nancy story. That's nothing new. We've all heard about that. But what is surprising is Jerry Govaya. We're not hearing about this investigation and the helicopter story. We're not hearing about that. But suddenly Jerry wants us to hear about what the U.S. allegedly said to, of all persons, members of the Private Sector Commission. At that time, Jerry Govaya was the chairman of the Private Sector Commission. But he's going to tell us what the White House, one person speaking out of the White House, or probably in an unofficial capacity, he is claiming spoke to Zulfikar Mohammed, or Zulfikar whatever, who is now the minister of Agriculture, who is doing a lot of questionable things out there on the quarantine, Region 6. Zulfikar Mustafa and another guy named Deodat Indar, that officials of the U.S., of the White House, on the Trump administration spoke to them about sanctioning, economic sanctions on the then government, the coalition government of Guyana. And the description of Zulfikar is that he is deputy ambassador. There's no such thing, Jerry Govaya, as deputy ambassador. Maybe DCM, deputy chief of mission. And since when Zulfikar was deputy chief of mission? When? Is he deputy chief of mission now? If so, then Aubrey Norton has to have some sort of intelligent person doing foreign relations for the coalition to investigate what has happened there. We just can't allow these things to slip by like that. But getting back to Jerry Govaya, forget about the helicopter. We're not hearing anything about that. But, and just to set it straight, I had a conversation recently with Jerry Govaya concerning the helicopter. And he said to me that it's under investigations. All right, fair enough. It's under investigations. Let's see where it goes. But Jerry, don't come telling us about some Nancy story that White House said to the Private Sector Commission. The White House should be aware of a lot of members of the Private Sector Commission who might be under investigations. Some of them might be under investigations for money laundering, gold smuggling, you name it, Jerry, you name it. So don't try to divert attention from the helicopter, from the elections rigging, and so forth. And while you're at Jerry, under your stewardship as chairman of the Private Sector Commission, wasn't a guy by the name of Ghali Khan who was actually, he turned himself in and he was extradited to the U.S., who has been convicted and who is now serving time? Wasn't he a member of the Private Sector Commission? And wasn't he given election observer status by you, Jerry Govaya? Shouldn't there be an investigation? You couldn't say that you were unaware that Ghali Khan was actually wanted by U.S. authority. And that is the same Ghali Khan who was a member of the Private Sector Commission, who was a vice president, I believe, of the Guard Service Association or something like that, who was given a license to operate a guard service in Guyana. Jerry Govaya, these are things that we want to hear about. Don't come and give us some Jim Cock bring Ram Goat story about White House official talking to Zulfikar and Indar, Deodat Indar and whatever. We don't want to hear that. But what you should have done, Jerry Govaya, is to tell us about the status of the elections petitions, 2 of them. Wasting time in the courts. Suddenly the PPPC, the installed regime, they're not concerned about the elections petitions. They're no longer concerned about that. In fact, what they're doing, they're fighting every day for the elections petitions not to be heard. I wonder why, Jerry. I wonder why you guys are comfortable with things as it is and not wanting the elections petitions to be heard. That is where the energy should be. We don't want to hear a fake commission of inquiry into the 2020 elections. It is fake. All of the people who go there are actors and actresses acting on behalf of the installed PPP regime. Do you expect them to say anything better? No. All of you guys who are going there at the COI are singing for your supper. All of you, no one excluded. All of you guys are singing for your supper. That is all. So, Jerry, wake up. Wake up and stop attempting to divert attention because people know better. Suddenly, they're no longer talking about the SOPs. When was the last time you've heard a PPP operative, a PPP supporter, or one of those big boys in the installed regime talk about SOPs? Does that kind of bother you? That they're no longer concerned about the SOPs? They were running around all over the country, all over social media. Some of them were trolling Aubrey Norton. Aubrey, where are your SOPs? They can't even speak English properly. Where's your SOPs? We want to see your SOPs. Those SOPs. Talking about SOPs. We want to see your SOPs. Aubrey should have just turned around and showed them his SOPs. Stop it, Mark. Right? But they stopped because they know that they have played themselves out. And that is an old tune. It is outdated. They're no longer talking about SOPs. They're no longer talking about petitions because even their own supporters have come to the realization that the PPP has rigged the elections and they were installed by, we will get to that. They were installed. They didn't win the elections. Even the PPP knows that. Even their own supporters are beginning to question and say, hey, bye, how come they're not talking about SOPs no more? The truth of the matter, the SOP stuff was basically, what is it? It was one of their script into yelling and jumping on the mountaintop to talk about rigged elections. It was their script. It was given to them, mind you. And so they run with it, but they're no longer running with it. They've run out. Their script has ended. They have nothing else to say. And so I want to be able to flip the script now and say, PPP, show us your SOPs. Get the elections petitions going. But you know why? They don't want the SOPs to be seen. They don't even want the SOPs to be verified through the court system because they know what is going to come out of that. They know they have rigged the elections. That is a fact. And so they have created this so-called commission of inquiry, where they get their people going and talk dotishness about what they try to do and all these so-called guardians of democracy. Some of them jump ship because what they were promised they're not getting. And some of them are so ashamed that they're not saying anything. They are so quiet because they realize that they have been taken for granted. They have been made into fools. Look at some of the players who jump ship. You know who they are. Ram, goat liver. Anyways, I'm not here to call anybody's names, mind you, but they know who they are. Riggers in office, PPP, racist regime. Guyana is an apartheid regime. Every time they talk, they give the impression as though they believe in democracy. Imagine a Jack Deere talking about democracy. Imagine an Air Finale talking about democracy. Just imagine these guys. Anyways, we know better, right? But here's what they're doing now. They realize that the heat is on them. Forget about what Ralph Ramkaran is saying now. Ralph Ramkaran, I don't know. Ralph Ramkaran basically doesn't want to give up. He's still there. He's trying with ANOG. And we all know the meaning of ANOG. It's a mouth disease. And so Not because Ralph Ramkaran is saying that the UN should investigate, that I'm going to jump up on a mountain and grab Ralph Ramkaran and hug him and kiss him and say, thank you, my friend. Thank you. I'm not going to do that. Because these guys say things to sound bites. They say things to sound right. They say things to sound nice. They know that there is Ralph Ramkaran knows that there's no way out. And that the evidence is stacking up and up against the PPP in terms of racism. That is what it is. It is racist. It is a racist PPPC regime. And so I don't want Ralph Ramkaran to tell me or to call for an investigations in the UN. People have been calling for that. It is nothing new, Ralph Ramkaran. I'm glad that he's waking up. But don't just call for an investigations via the United Nations on whether there's racism and all. There have always been racism, Ralph. Look at for the 23 years of the ruling of the PPP, ruining Guyana. Almost all of the senior diplomats were of one ethnic persuasion. All of the contracts given out mainly to one ethnic group, save and except Courtney Benn. Save and except Courtney Benn. Outside of that, Ralph, you weren't speaking out then because you were part of them and you were making millions upon millions of dollars in legal fees, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. But now you're out of that. I don't know whether you're still making anything or not. I probably, based on what I read, maybe you're part of the border dispute with Venezuela, Guyana. I don't know. But what I know that these very things you were silent on. I know people are entitled to come out and smell the coffee. But when Ralph Ramkaran was also Speaker of the National Assembly, the very things that he's talking about now, he denied the people. He denied democracy in Parliament and all these things. They were shut down. People hardly had an opportunity to speak and all these manner of things. And now Ralph Ramkaran. All right, fair enough. Ralph, I've known Ralph over the years and so forth. If I see Ralph, I'll shake his hand. Don't get me wrong. But apart from talking the obvious, real racism that's going on in the country, practiced by the PPPC regime, the installed regime, I want Ralph Ramkaran to call for the UN to step in and let us find out what really transpired in the March 2020 general and regional elections in Guyana. Call in the United Nations. We already know about the racism. It is there. It is wide open for everyone to see. Even Ray Charles, even Stevie Wonder can see. So stop it, Ralph. That's what you're calling for. What you're calling for there is nothing new. Stop it, Ralph. We already know that. But call for the UN to come in to investigate what happened in the March 2020 general and regional elections. That is what I want to hear Ralph talk about. Anyways, let's get back to this. They're running into communities now. Beirut. I know Beirut very well. I've been there through the Benchap Foundation. We've done courses. We've done stuff in Beirut. You know when we did that? You know when we got into Beirut? It was during the PPPC years. They didn't give a damn about this community. They didn't give a damn about the people in Beirut. The roads leading into Beirut. I had to park one way, come off, walk. Well, it doesn't matter to me. Being a country guy, it doesn't matter. I'll walk in mud. I'll walk through toilet area. I'll walk through latrine pit. I'll walk through all over. That is exactly how the people were living in Beirut under whose regime, you think? Under the PPPC. The PPPC never gave a damn about the people. They just never give a damn. And notice a trench crapper that is on with us can't even spell mouth. Look how they spell mouth. M-O-U-G-H-T, mouth. Hey, these people, look, if you think I'm kidding, look, I'm not kidding you. Look how Auntie Nazaline Rafikali. Look how she spelled mouth. Look how she spelled mouth. M-O-U-G-H-T, mouth. How can we really take those people seriously? Serious. How can we take them seriously? Gosh, M-O-U-G-H-T, mouth. Again, come on, guys, repeat after me. Mouth. M-O-U-G. Anyways, let's get back to this here. Now, hear what? Beirut, the PPPC ignored the people, the community of Beirut for 20-something years. They didn't give a damn about these people. They didn't. If you take a look in terms of the roads and all of these, and again, I know this community. I was in there. We did computer courses for hundreds of the young people in that community. Hundreds of the young people there. We did that. We give books and computers and so forth to the people, the young people right there during the PPPC 23 years. They ignored the people, the very people that they're walking in now and giving little title that they deserve, that they never got. For 15 plus years, they have been protesting. They have been asking for water. They have been asking for light. They have been asking for proper roads and all these things. And the PPPC ignored them. Now they're running into these communities, handing out a couple of titles, taking pictures, and you see why they're taking the pictures, right? You see why, and you understand why. It is basically to send a message to the international community that, no, we're not practicing racism. Look what we're doing. Look what we're doing. It is a fraud. They are not serious about what they're doing. So when you see the headline coming from DPI, which is the Department of Information or whatever, that taxpayers are paying hundreds of millions of dollars. Look what the headline says here. Beirut residents elated after receiving house lots and title. But what the headline should have been said, after 2 decades, 15 plus years of being ignored by the PPPC, they have finally, and you know why they got it? The pressure is on. The pressure is on with these people. And they're trying to make the coalition look as though, oh, look, you guys are getting this under the PPP. And the coalition ignored you guys. That is the only reason. They're not doing it because they really want to do something good for the people. They're just not doing it. It is for photo op. Most of you guys already know where I'm coming from, right? Good. Because you guys are smart people. You guys understand the game that they're playing. And then look at this. 8,000 women allocated. 8,000 women. 8,000 women allocated a little piece of land. A little piece. A little, as they say, I don't know if they say this in Georgetown, a little country piece. 8,000. But they're not going to talk about the thousands of people who got house lots under the coalition. They're not going to talk about that. They're not going to talk about the thousands of people who were ignored, who didn't get house lots or didn't get whatever their titles and all these things, their land titles and things that got it under the coalition, that these very kunumunus in the PPPC ignored. But the people were happy. They got their stuff. Thousands of them were happy and they were not discriminated against. The coalition didn't go around and grab a person of a particular ethnic group and say, come, I bet you come, man, and take a picture. It is insulting. And it is pretty obvious what the PPP is up to. They see Daphne, they say, come, Daphne, let me take a... Daphne is the only one they want to take a picture with, you know. They don't want to take a picture with Dilrani or Drupati. They call Daphne. These people think that people are dotish set of people. So we're looking at the time, right? But let's get back to the elections now. Before we get to the elections, this is good news. Bribery fraud charges dismissed against ex-New York Lieutenant Governor. A lot of you guys know he was on this show when he was actually running for state senator, re-election. And then he went on to become the second person of African descent, colored person, to sit as lieutenant governor. The first person was State Senator David Patterson. I haven't seen David in so many years. David, not the David Patterson in Guyana. Senator David Patterson in the United States of America. And he went on to become the first African American to sit in the seat of governor, David Patterson. I haven't seen David in a long, long time. But this guy, Brian Benjamin, is the second such person to sit there. Second person to sit there. Now, Brian got into a little trouble and he was charged. And now almost all of the charges, except one or two, I believe, minor ones still remaining. But the bribery and fraud charges dismissed against ex-New York Lieutenant Governor Brian Benjamin. Brian Benjamin, folks, I think his mother is from Port Drawing or somewhere over across the bridge there, somewhere there, right? So I'm glad that he is free from those serious charges, and I just wish him the best with the others. Good evening again to all of you, and welcome to Straight Up. What else? Annette Cummings is saying she hopes he's reinstated. He cannot be reinstated. It is done with. His name is off the ballot. It's done with. The state of New York has a new lieutenant governor. It is done with. He has to run for some other office again. He cannot be reinstated as governor. It's done with, please. It's done with. All right. So what else can we talk about? What else you guys want to talk about? I have just a couple minutes remaining. Hey, thank you, Lemon. I know that there's something else I want to talk about before we go. And no, I don't want to talk about the opposition MPs. I want to talk about them. I don't want to talk about them. But I've noticed that Geeta resurrected. Somebody said she turned up in Parliament today. For now. Okay, look, what else I want to talk about before I go? Quickly. This guy. The opposition got to squeeze this guy. Squeeze him. He should not be walking around assuming that he still has a diplomatic passport. Whatever has happened, is he out of the High Commission's office, the guy in the High Commission's office in India? Is he still there? We should have an update. And whoever sits there as the opposition shadow minister of Foreign Affairs should seek these sort of information, the relevant information in Parliament. One, is he out of India? Is he still there at the office? Is he still being paid by the taxpayers of Guyana? And is he still the holder of a diplomatic passport? These are questions that we want to hear. And you, Todd, who sits there as the installed Minister of Foreign Affairs, should let the people know. Let the people know. That's what the people want to hear. But quickly before we go. Look at this headline. Former Republican congressman and Rubio ally finally indicted after lengthy investigation into what happened in Venezuela. A contract for about millions of dollars in Venezuela under Maduro. And so while Rubio and these guys are cussing Rubio, their friends are part and parcel of the deal. And that is how they enjoy the sweetness. The hypocrisy is glaring, my friends. It is glaring. And I speak of the hypocrisy because we have heard lots from this guy, Marco Rubio, talking about elections and giving the impression that they're concerned about free and fair elections in Guyana. That is the impression they gave. All of them, because during the course of the election, this is what Rubio, Rich, Menendez, Cardin encouraged Guyanese authorities to begin democratic transition of power. They are talking about Guyanese authorities to begin democratic transition of power. But these very guys, after Joe Biden won the elections, they never spoke about transition of a democratic transition of power. They remained quiet. None of them, not a single one of them. When this guy said this, none of them came out and spoke out against this guy, another hypocrite. Listen to him.
Hi.
Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. All right, we're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly. The world should have every confidence that the transition necessary to make sure that the State Department is functional today, and successful with the president who's in office on January 20th, mid-afternoon, will also be successful. I went through a transition on the front, and I've been on the other side of this. I'm very confident that we will do all the things that are necessary to make sure that the government, the United States government, will continue to perform its national security.
Mind you, this was after Joe Biden was declared the winner. This guy was still talking about a Trump swearing in. You see the hypocrisy? And he's talking about the Constitution. Ironically, it's the same Trump now who wants to get rid of the Constitution of the United States of America. Are you guys seeing the hypocrisy? This is not me making things up. It is right there for you guys to see and hear for yourselves. Well, these guys, Cardin and all of them who were around for the 2000 elections when it was handed to George Bush Jr., they weren't talking about authorities to begin democratic transition and so forth and so on. The hypocrisy is glaring, my friends. It is glaring. It is there for all to see. Every one of you guys to see what is happening. And look, these are the same guys, including Rubio, says recount results should be declared and transition begun. They weren't talking, the recount process dealt, I think there were 3 or 4 stages. You got to count all of the votes, and you got to exclude the spoil votes. You got to exclude the illegal votes. But because in counting the illegal votes, the PPPC was ahead with illegal votes counted. But when you take out the illegal votes, it showed the coalition won the elections. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It showed that the coalition had won the elections, but they didn't want to hear that. So this is what they said. This is what they said. Recount results should be declared. They wanted right there and then the recount to be declared. Nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. And meanwhile, their comrade, their friend, a Republican, was in bed with Maduro. Rubio friend, a former congressman, in bed. That's exactly what's happening. And that's how these guys make their monies. Let's not run away from that. That is how they make their money. Look, ex-Miami congressman arrested in Venezuela probe. A former Miami Republican congressman who signed a $50 million, oops, there goes again the $50 million. There goes, only this time it's 50 million Guyana dollars. But this here is 50 million US consulting contract with Venezuela's socialist government. He has been indicted. The indictment has been, it's not been unsealed as yet, but he has been indicted. He's a friend of Marco Rubio, and he's a Republican. And these are the guys who want us to believe that they believe in democracy and they are fighting for free and fair elections in Guyana. When we all know it's about the oil. It's about them oiling themselves down. It's all about the oil, isn't it? What could it be? What could it be? What could it be, Marco Rubio? What could it be? Marco Rubio declines, and this is a look, this is this. Marco Rubio declines to say whether he'll accept election results, call Democrats the real election denier. Marco Rubio. That is what he said. He always flip-flops. This is what he said about the 2020 elections. But this is what he said about, this is what he joined with others to say about the Guyana elections, oil, billions of dollars of oil and all these things. This is how these guys get their monies, you know. They pretend as though they believe in democracy and free and fair elections and all these manner of things. Just like those goats in Guyana. Jack David, Irfan, and all of those other goats in Guyana. This is what Marco Rubio and others say. Look, says recount results should be declared and transition begun. Marco Rubio and others. But this is what Marco Rubio declines to say whether he'll accept results. Calls Democrats the real election deniers. Are you guys getting the message? Are you understanding what I'm saying here? Oh, I hope you do. But 2019, around October time, it was Marco Rubio who just let the cat out of the bag, and he called for regime change in Guyana. Of course, he denied it. He denied that that was what his call was for. In fact, during that time, I recall I emailed them. I said, hey, what's happening here, Marco? What's going on? Well, I received a response from his office. This response says, and this was October 2nd, 2019. I got the response 11:32 a.m. Mark, thanks for reaching out. The senator's tweet was not an endorsement to any party in a sovereign nation. These guys are ridiculous. Hope you noticed the tweet from our press account was linked to an op-ed penned by former Congressman Diana Ross Lettinen, who wrote whatever. Yeah, and we're not dotish people. But I'm glad that I was able to confront them right away, several days after the article appeared in the Kaichor News. But just to show you how these guys and the Stabrook News, how these guys flip-flop a lot, right? They flip-flop a lot. I don't know. I just don't know. But you guys got the message, right? Former Republican congressman. That's how they eat. That's how they eat. And nothing can tell me that that's not how these guys are eating in Guyana. Oil money, billions and billions of dollars of oil money. Nothing can tell me that that's not how they're eating. They create a different, they support lobby, so-called lobbyists and all these different things. They are eating. Why do you think some of them don't even want to come out of Guyana? Some of them don't, you know why? Because they're eating food. Enough food they're eating. Anyways, before I go, it reminds me of this. What came to mind? What came to mind was a debate between Trump and Rubio. And I believe Ted Cruz, who in the midst of flooding or whatever out there in Texas, decided to jump on a plane and head over to Mexico, Cancun, I believe, until he got caught. But these guys don't have any shame, you know. Let me take you guys, let me leave you guys with this here. You probably wouldn't be surprised, but take a listen to this here. Please do.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second.
So cute. Such a cute soundbite. But here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's the guy that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I have to say, he lied this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
You lied about the Polish workers.
Oh, yeah.
You lied to the students of Trump University.
38 years ago.
Oh, he lied 38 years ago. All right, I guess there's a statute of limitation on lies.
Okay, so you heard there. You heard exactly what was going on there, right? You guys heard for yourselves. They're calling each other liar. You lie. 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 Little Ruby. They all probably lied. Trump has said that for 35 plus years ago, he lied. Some bone marrow. He couldn't go into the war. Oh, my bone is soft. Well, you probably already know that. Anyways, I've got to go. I'll be back hopefully tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. I've got to go. Got lots more I want to talk to you guys about. I haven't forgotten about Claudia Singh. Still got some of those things that you guys want to hear. I haven't forgotten about that, right? All right. So have a great rest of the night. God bless you, and continue to pray for beautiful, beautiful Guyana. Please do continue to pray for that country. Love you guys. for you all. Bye-bye.
So, this is attorney Shellen Washington, owner and founder of the Washington Law Firm, located at 455 Utica Avenue in Brooklyn, New York. We're specialized in medical malpractice, personal injuries, matrimonial law, and landlord and tenant. If you're in need of legal representation, please give us a call today. The number to call is 718-877-3100. Consultation is free at no cost to you. So call us today to see if we can be of any assistance to your legal needs. Again, the phone number to call us is 718-877-3100.
If he builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. The second.
So cute. Such a cute soundbite. But here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's the guy that inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
I have to say, he lied this time. He lied. 100%. 100%.
You lied about the Polish workers.
Yeah.
You lied to the students of Trump University.
Maybe the Chinese company that did not get the agreement that they wanted here, maybe they're the ones who told you. Or it could be just a fictitious thing.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Sudiro?
So my relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes. He is a friend of ours. His father was here from many years ago.
I mean, he lives next door to you.
Yes.
You know, he was able to arrange.
Basement level vibes with another one, straight up blackness. Aye, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, I do it for the love, him not do it for no money. Straight up, him attack, educating everybody. Big up my friends and big up my family. Turn on the radio, catch the vibes, it's integrity. Straight up, Benskop stands for unity. One people, one nation, one destiny. Free up the truth in the air, even the blind can see. The deaf can hear, the dumb can talk, the cripple can walk. Boom. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the fruit. Mark Benskop, straight up from the root. Mark Benskop, we have to gather round, grab a seat and sit down, pay attention. Education, liberation, we have to stand strong. Benskop upon the radio, lively up the program. Everybody call somebody and let them turn and tune and pon the radio and catch the boom song. We boom it up already, we have to boom it up again. Expose and reveal them. Who tell the truth? Mark Benskop, defend the ghetto youth. Mark Benskop, radio station is the truth. Mark Benskop, straight up.